Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes through Prabhupada. I will wait one more minute. Maybe Swapna Kampiki Mataji might join. So, maybe I'll do the prayer in the meantime. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pachatadestarine Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Saptamati, you're in a position to read, Mati.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, yes Prabhuji.
Sure.
Reading from text 139, right?
Yes, Mati.
The very name Krishna means that he attracts even Cupid. He is therefore attractive to everyone, male and female, moving and inert living entities. Indeed, Krishna is known as the all-attractive one. Text 140. When Krishna left the Rasa Lila dance, the gopis became very morose, and when they were grieving, Krishna reappeared dressed in yellow garments. Wearing a flower garland and smiling, he was attractive even to Cupid. In this way, Krishna appeared among the gopis. Text 141. Each and every devotee has a certain type of transcendental mellow in relation to Krishna. But in all transcendental relationships, the devotee is the worshipper, Ashraya, and Krishna is the object of worship, Vishaya. Text 142. Let Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, be glorified. By virtue of his expanding attractive features, he subjugated the gopis named Taraka and Pali and absorbed the minds of Shama and Lalita. He is the most attractive lover of Srimati Radharani and is the reservoir of pleasure for devotees in all transcendental mellows. Text 143. Krishna is all attractive for devotees in all mellows because he is the personification of the conjugal mellow. Krishna is attractive not only to all devotees but to himself as well. Text 144. My dear friends, just see how Krishna is enjoying the season of spring. With the gopis embracing each of his limbs, he is like amorous love personified. With his transcendental pastimes, he enlivens all the gopis and the entire creation. With his soft, bluish black arms and legs, which resemble blue lotus flowers, he has created a festival for Cupid. Text 145. He also attracts Narayana, who is the creation of Sankarshna and the husband of the goddess of fortune. He attracts not only Narayana, but also all women headed by the goddess of fortune, the consort of Narayana. Text 146. Addressing Krishna and Arjuna, Lord Mahavishnu, the Mahapurusha, said, I wanted to see both of you, and therefore I have brought the sons of the Brahmana here. Both of you have appeared in the material world to re-establish religious principles, and you have both appeared here with all your potencies. After killing all the demons, please quickly return to the spiritual world. Text 147. O Lord, we do not know how the serpent Kaliya attained such an opportunity to be touched by the dust of your lotus feet. For this end, the goddess of fortune performed austerities for centuries, giving up all other desires and observing austere vows. Indeed, we do not know how this serpent Kaliya got such an opportunity. Text 148. Lord Krishna's sweetness is so attractive that it steals away his own mind. Thus, he wants to embrace himself. Text 149. Upon seeing his own reflection in a bejeweled pillar of his Dwarka palace, Krishna desired to embrace it, saying, Alas, I have never seen such a person before. Who is he? Just by seeing him, have become eager to embrace him, exactly like Srimati Radharani. Text 150. Sri Ramananda Raya then said, I have thus briefly explained the original form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now let me describe the position of Srimati Radharani. Text 151. Krishna has unlimited potencies, which can be divided into three main parts. These are the spiritual potency, the material potency, and the marginal potency, which is known as the living entities. In text 152, in other words, these are all potencies of God, internal, external, and marginal. But the internal potency is the Lord's personal energy and stands over the other two. Text 153. The original potency of Lord Vishnu is superior or spiritual, and the living entity actually belongs to that superior energy. But there is another energy called the material energy, and this third energy is full of ignorance. Text 154. Originally, Lord Krishna is Satchitananda Vigraha, the transcendental form of eternity, bliss, and knowledge. Therefore, his personal potency, the internal potency, has three different forms. Text 155. Hladini is his aspect of bliss, Sandhini is of eternal existence, and Samvit of cognizance, which is also accepted as knowledge. Text 156. My dear Lord, you are the transcendental reservoir of all transcendental qualities. Your pleasure potency, existence potency, and knowledge potency are actually all one internal spiritual potency. The conditioned soul, although actually spiritual, sometimes experiences pleasure, sometimes pain, and sometimes a mixture of pain and pleasure. This is due to his being touched by matter. But because you are above all material qualities, these are not found in you. Your superior spiritual potency is completely transcendental, and for you, there is no such thing as relative pleasure, pleasure mixed with pain, or pain itself. Text 157. The potency called Hladini gives Krishna transcendental pleasure. So, through this pleasure potency, Krishna personally tastes all spiritual pleasure. Text 158. Lord Krishna tastes all kinds of transcendental happiness, although he himself is happiness personified. The pleasure relished by his pure devotees is also manifested by his pleasure potency. Text 159. The most essential part of this pleasure potency is love of Godhead, prema. Consequently, the explanation of love of Godhead is also a transcendental mellow full of pleasure. Text 160. The essential part of love of Godhead is called Mahabhava, transcendental ecstasy, and that ecstasy is represented by Srimati Radharani. Text 161. Among the gopis of Vrindavana, Srimati Radharani and another gopi are considered chief. But when we compare the gopis, it appears that Srimati Radharani is most important because her real feature expresses the highest ecstasy of love. The ecstasy of love experienced by other gopis cannot be compared to that of Srimati Radharani. Text 162. The body of Srimati Radharani is a veritable transformation of love of Godhead. She is the dearmost friend of Krishna, and this is known throughout the world. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah, thank you so much, Madhya. Hare Krishna. So going back to the first verse for today, that 9. So we're in the section of the Krishna's glories. If you remember the context was that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is personally speaking with Ramananda Rai on the bank of the Godavari river. So during that conversation, they first talked about what is the purpose of life, what is the best perfection of life, like that they talked about. And then it went all the way, he gave different answers, all the way from Varnashrama, Gnana Mishra Bhakti, like that, pure Bhakti, like that he went on to describe engaging in devotion service in different rasas, all the way up to Madhurya Rasa, conjugal rasa also. And then he described the glories of gopis and gopis and Srimati Radharani briefly. So then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after hearing all that, he was happy to hear that, and he asked him to describe further about Krishna's Swarupa or Krishna Tattva and Radharani Tattva and Rasa Tattva. So we're in the section where he's describing Krishna Tattva. That means truths about Krishna. the original truths about Krishna, so that describe different attributes and glories of Krishna like that. That's the section we are in. We discussed few of the verses now that describe how is the supreme controller, how is the source of everything, how is the cause of all causes, and how is the resting place for all unlimited Vaikunthas, avatars, and material universes like that. And then how is body is Sachidananda Vigraha, and how is Rajendra Nandana, son of Nanda Maharaj. And then 136 verse, yeah, how is full in all opulences, Aishwarya, Shakti, potencies, and also Rasa, spiritual mellows. And then Brahma Samhita verse is quoted in 137 verse, Vishwara Paramakrishna. And then is spiritually ever fresh like Cupid and is worshipped by Kam Gayatri and Kama Becha. Those are the verses we were discussing yesterday. Now I'll share my screen again. So we'll go to the 139th verse where we started today. So in this verse, is this section is still about Krishna's glories only. So what you say? The very name Krishna itself means that he attracts even Cupid also. Remember, Krishna means all attractive, right? That all includes Cupid also. So that's why he's attracted to everyone. Who are the everyone means male, female, moving, and even innate living entities, it says. That means normally what we see as moving is generally chara, achara are the two words used in scriptures to describe moving and innate living entities. So is attractive to both of them. Innate living entities means, or achara means the plants, trees like that. Krishna is the all attractive one. This purport, Prabhupada has a longer purport. So we'll draw a few lessons, few concepts from Prabhupada purport that is explaining for us. One is, in the spiritual world, there are many Vaikuntha lokas. And they those spiritual planets are always eternally existing. They're not annihilated any time. They're not created at any time like that. And Krishna is known as Aprakrita Madana. It says Aprakrita Madana. So because that abode of Lord Krishna is also all spiritual, it's described. And Krishna is the spiritual Madana. You see, basically here again Prabhupada is emphasizing that Krishna's body is spiritual. Krishna's body is Sachidananda Vigraha like that. And then Manmata Madana. And that means he's attractive even to Cupid also. Then Prabhupada emphasizes here that Mayavadi conception that Krishna's body is material, Krishna is taking a material body, that is a abominable and is grossly materialistic conception like that Prabhupada is describing. So because that is opposite to the reality, truth that scriptures are giving us, which is Krishna's body is spiritual, not material like one of our bodies, physical bodies like that. And then we were discussing briefly yesterday also this point, how Gopi's body is also spiritual, of the same quality like that, because their expansion of Krishna's pleasure potency, which is Srimati Radharani. That point will be elaborated in coming verses now, when Ramananda Rai talks about Radharani Tattva. Then, yeah, interestingly, remember Janma Karma Cha Me Divyam Yavam Yevat Tattvataha, that verse is there, right? That means how when you understand transcendental nature of Krishna and his activities, birth and activities, one will be liberated. Prabhupada is quoting that verse and explaining that when one can understand that body of Krishna as well as Krishna's lusty desires, then one is immediately liberated. What does that mean? That means when we understand the transcendental nature of them, that means they're not like born out of mode of passion, like for ordinary conditioned souls, not like that. When we understand the spiritual nature of them, then we can be liberated like that. Prabhupada is emphasizing that point. Then other point Prabhupada is talking about is only after being liberated from material conditions, one can understand Krishna. What does this understand Krishna means? This understanding Krishna means not at a peripheral level like initial practitioners of devotion service. Like, oh, I know Krishna is absolute truth, Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. Not that level. That means fully understanding means fully realizing it and fully being able to apply and act in that position, act from that realization like that. Yeah. So another point Prabhupada is making is how somebody may be liberated even though they are living this world, even though they are having a material body currently. Even then they can be liberated. How? If our only desire is to serve Krishna with love and devotion, then we are liberated even though we are staying in the material world currently, in the material body currently. That, of course, that's the other way of explaining this, is that our body becomes spiritualized. Means we're using our body only for Krishna service, not for our sense gratification like that. I was hearing this morning also, afternoon, I think, here afternoon, that how sense gratification is opposite to going to Krishna. So when we engage in sense gratification, we're staying in that orbit of sense gratifications. We cannot evolve from that towards Krishna like that. So that's why when we get into service mode, then we can understand Krishna, and that is a real liberated platform. Of course, this is like a chicken and egg thing like that they discuss, which is comes first, which comes second. Beauty of devotion service is whatever situation we are in, we take shelter of bhakti, take shelter of Krishna and a pure devotee, and with the mercy of the pure devotee and Krishna, and with the strength they give us, then we can actually overcome the sense gratification tendencies, and we can transform to service oriented, to serve Krishna, being able to serve Krishna in any situation, and by utilizing our senses in serving Krishna, because that is the way we can control senses, right? So that's the other point. Then, yeah, Prabhupada is emphasizing that point again. Simply by engaging in loving service of Krishna, one can attain liberation. So it's not a, in one sense, there's a lot of philosophy, lot of things, but all we need to do is understand Krishna's position and serve him, and understand devotee's position and serve them like that. And he talks about two Sanskrit terms Prabhupada introduces by talking about Bhaktivinoda Thakur in the purport. Swarupagata and Vastugata. He says, one who understands Krishna's real position, that means he has knowledge, but is still maintaining some material connection. He is in the Swarupagata, it seems. That means in his original consciousness. That means he understands that Krishna is I am a part and parcel of Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Lord. Krishna is my Father. He understands that. And Krishna is meant to receive my service like that. He understands that. But still he is not able to give a middle connection. That is still Swarupagata. And then when that original consciousness is completely spiritual, it is called Krishna consciousness. That means when it is more purified stage, then there is no material attachment, no material connection. That time it's called as Vastugata, it seems. So during that time, all contamination of material body and mind is removed, it seems. That means it's completely purified. That means at that time he's actually living in Vrindavana like that. So Prabhupada emphasizes the importance of taking initiation from a bona fide spiritual master and worship with Krishna with the translated mantras received from Guru like that. Prabhupada is referring to the Gayatri mantra, which was referred in the previous verses also. And then, yeah, interestingly, one should engage in, Prabhupada is quoting 1865, where when we engage in bhakti, then we can become qualified or fit to become attractive to Krishna. So it's interesting. Krishna is already attractive, but I don't have that attraction right now. But by engaging in bhakti, that attraction will come like that. I was reading yesterday that even that same thing applies for our chanting of the holy name also. We know from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sikshastakam verse, Chetu Darpan Marjanam Bhaumaha Dava Nirvapanam, that verse, right? That verse describes the 7 wonders of the holy name, 7 effects that come from the chanting of the holy name. But why am I not experiencing them now? One is we're making all different offenses potentially. That offenses can be done while not only while chanting, by during the day, when we're living our life like that, including the inattention during the chanting. So then what is the remedy? The remedy is that we chant constantly or as much as possible basically. keep chanting the holy name. That doesn't mean we carry the beads to do office work, carry the beads while driving. That's not the meaning of that. Our prescribed number of rounds, we'll do it sitting at one place ideally and chanting. Of course, some devotees may not be able to sit, so they can walk also, though is not the highest standard. But then, rest of the time, after we complete our prescribed rounds for the day, rest of the time we keep chanting. When we're walking somewhere, when we're driving somewhere, without beads, we can chant like that. That way, that is the way we can get purified and we'll actually realize the seven wonders of the holy name like that. So same thing here is being described, that when we do engage in bhakti more and more, then we'll develop attraction for Krishna. And Prabhupada is emphasizing that this attraction is there within everyone's heart. And when the heart is cleansed, that attraction is manifested. Oh, Prabhupada is also quoting Chetudarpanam Arjuna. So the same point. Yeah. Basically, by doing devotional service more and more, which we know starts with Shravanam and Kirtanam, when we do more and more hearing and chanting consciously to please Krishna, then we'll also get purified and we'll also develop attraction for Krishna. We'll also see the wonderful effects of the holy name. Gradually, each of us can personally experience it. Now going to text 140. This describing, still describing the Krishna Tattva, how Krishna is attractive to everyone. That is the theme we are in. And here he's saying when Krishna left the Rasalila dance, the gopis became very morose. This is referring to Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto, 32nd chapter, verse it seems. And when they were grieving, Krishna appeared back again in yellow garments. He was beautiful, wearing a flower garland and is smiling. He was very attractive. So that's what, that means he was very attractive for the gopis. That is the point being driven here. There's no purport for this verse. Then next verse also no purport. Is coming that how each and every devotee has a certain type of transcendental mellow in relation to Krishna. But in all transcendental relationships, the devotee is the worshipper, Ashraya, and Krishna is the object of worship, Vishaya. So there are 2 points being made here. One is that each of the devotees in their original positions, when we perfect our lives, we have a certain mellow, certain rasa with Krishna. There is Dasya rasa, Sakya rasa, Vatsalya rasa, Madhurya rasa, like that, right? Like that, we have one of the rasas. That's what is being described. And then other point being described is, irrespective of the rasa we are in, we're actually serving Krishna. That is the point being made. Remember in Adilila itself, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami elaborated on this point. How in each of the rasas, the fundamental element is service to Krishna. Doesn't matter whatever. And then he also established other point, that each of the Vishnu incarnations also in the mood of service only. Like that, that's another point he established like that. Service to Krishna like that. So there's a point being made here. I was remembering something about completeness. Yeah, I was reading Bhagavad Gita yesterday, I think, in 7th chapter. Prabhupada is also emphasizing this point. How by doing bhakti, we can actually understand Krishna and we can actually establish the real relationship with Krishna in one of the 4 forms, which is 4 rasas, Dasya, Shakya, Vatsalya, or Madhurya rasa, like that. That is the only power available for bhakti, he is saying, not jnana, not yoga, like that. That's the point he was making, Prabhupada was making. Now going to 142 verse. He is saying, let Krishna be glorified by virtue of his expanding attractive features. He subjugated the gopis, it seems, and absorbed the minds of 2 gopis. He is the most attractive lover of Srimati Radharani and is the reservoir of pleasure for devotees in all transcendental mellows. That means with whatever rasa devotees are worshipping him, for all kinds of devotees in different rasas, he is the transcendental form of attraction for them. That is what the purport Prabhupada writes. That's why it's called Akila Rasamrita Murti. That means the transcendental form of attraction for all kinds of devotees. So that's a nice verse. Actually, this nice words also word is used in Srimad Bhagavatam purports of Prabhupada also in the 10th canto. That how is the reservoir of all pleasures, like that. In that context, Prabhupada uses this word like that. Now it's a short purport, going to 143. He says Krishna is all attractive for devotees in all mellows. This is the same point in the last three verses, one of the common thread. Why? Because the personification of the Madhya Rasa, conjugal mellow, like that. And Krishna is attractive not only to all the devotees, but to himself also. How this is show? How this is so? He will describe in the next coming verses. That means Krishna is attracted to him himself also. And here is describing, uh, yeah, Krishna, how with his transcendental pastimes, he enlivens all the gopis and the entire creation. And with his beautiful form, beautiful bluish black arms and legs that resemble like blue lotus flowers, he has created a festival for Cupid. I mean, Cupid is already beautiful, but for Cupid also is so attractive like that. That is the point being made. Krishnadas Karajas Goswami. This is a verse from Gita Govinda, it seems. Prabhupada writing in the purport, one line purport. And then on it, he says, Krishna not only attracted gopis, Krishna not only attracted other gopas, he also attracts Narayana himself, who is the incarnation of Sankarshana. Remember, we know how Narayana comes from Krishna, Balaram Chaturviha. From that Sankarshana comes Narayana, like that. That's what it briefly indicating in a short form way. And also, um, Narayana is the husband of Lakshmi Devi. Lakshmi Devi is very attractive. That's why Narayana is being described as husband of Lakshmi Devi, like that. That means he has very attractive wife, but still is attracted to Krishna himself, like that. That means Krishna is so attractive, like that. So that is first point here. Not only that he is attractive to Narayana, but also to all women headed by Lakshmi Devi. The concept of Narayana, like that. Even for them is very attractive, like that is describing. Now, if you remember, Krishna versus Kaviraj Goswami always makes a conclusion or a statement and then supports it with spiritual references, scriptural references coming up. So here is referring to the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 89th chapter, where the scenario, what happened was Arjuna and Krishna takes Arjuna all the way to Vaikuntha Loka to see Mahavishnu. Remember, to find the sons of a Brahmana, like that. Because sons of Brahmana were disappearing, right? Dying as soon as they're done, as soon as they're born, like that. So in that context, he takes all the way to Vaikuntha Loka. Then at that time, Mahavishnu addresses like this to Krishna. What does he say? Mahavishnu say that I wanted to see both of you, Krishna and Arjuna. That is why I brought the sons of Brahmana here. So and he's saying, so that means he's expressing how he's so eager to see Krishna's form. That is number one. Number two is asking them to please come back soon. After killing all the demons, please quickly return to the spiritual world, like that. This is also expressing the eagerness of even Narayana himself. This is just proving the conclusion he already gave in the previous verse. Now he says, oh Lord, we do not know. Oh, this is another conclusion where in the Kaliya pastime, Kaliya's wives are praying to Lord Krishna, saying that, how did our husband Kaliya get such an opportunity that you are stamping on his head with your lotus feet? People are trying to get the dust from your lotus feet, but he has opportunity to touch the dust of your lotus feet so much. What austerities he did for centuries, giving up all other desires, and so much austerities he must have done. So how did Kaliya get such an opportunity? They're expressing like that. So this is again indicating the greatness of Krishna, how great Krishna is, that even by doing so many austerities, you cannot get the image of Krishna so easily, like that. And then there's no purport for these verses. Then, I mean, one line purport is there, that's all. And the 148 verse, Lord Krishna's sweetness is so attractive that it steals away his own mind. Now he's making another conclusion, that not only is attractive to Narayana, but he's actually so attractive that his own mind gets attracted to himself. So that's why he even wants to embrace himself, it's in Krishna. So that is to confirm that he quotes another reference. Where is this reference from? This is reference from Rupa Goswami's Lalita Madhava, it seems. Rupa Goswami wrote two dramas, Lalita Madhava and Vedagda Madhava. So this is talking about Lalita Madhava. Lalita Madhava is in past tense in Dwaraka, and Vidadha Madhava is past tense in Vrindavan. So Krishna saw his own reflection, it seems, in a pillar that has jewels in Dwarka Palace, and Krishna wanted to embrace him, it seems. So he says, Alas, I have never seen such a person before. Who is he? Just by seeing him, I have become eager to embrace him. Exactly like Srimati Radharani, like that. So that's the beauty of Krishna, is being glorified like that. So now Ramananda Rai is transitioning to the next topic. Next topic is, after explaining the Krishna's Sattva, that means glories of Krishna, is going to glories of Srimati Radharani. So to transition to that topic, he uses this verse. He says, I thus briefly described the original form of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now let me describe the position of Srimati Radharani like that. So now, from this verse onwards, Radharani's Tattva is being described. Basically, uh, Krishna has so many unlimited potencies, but those can be categorized or divided into three main potencies. What are those? Spiritual potency or the internal potency, material potency or external potency, and marginal potency. These are the three potencies. And marginal potencies are nothing but jivas, are the living entities. There are no purport for these verses. So these are all potencies of Krishna, both internal potency or spiritual potency, external potency or material potency or marginal potency. These are all potencies of Krishna. Out of them is going deep dive into internal potency, because the path is he wants to glorify Srimati Radharani. So, but the internal potency is the Lord's personal energy and stands over the other two. That means he is higher than the other two, like that is describing. Next he says, the original potency of Lord Vishnu is superior or spiritual, and living entity also belongs to the superior energy. This is a Bhagavad Gita verse like that, right? Let me see, 153. Yeah, same thing. This is from Vishnu Purana, it seems. Bhagavad Gita also similar verse. Basically, Krishna says you are belong to superior energy like that. But the material energy is inferior, that is full of ignorance. And then Krishna is Sachidananda Vigraha, the transcendental form, eternally bliss and knowledge. Therefore, his personal potency, the internal potency, has three different form systems. What are those three different forms? This is related to the Sachidananda Vigraha. That is Hadini energy, which is the aspect of bliss of Krishna. Sandhini, which is the aspect of eternal existence. Samvit energy, which is the aspect of cognizance or knowledge potency, like that. Sandhini, Samvit, and Hadini potency. So we will deep dive into Hadini soon. So then 156 is saying, all of these three, Radhini, Sandhini, and Samvit, are part of one internal spiritual potency only. So, but conditioned soul, even though he is also spiritual, sometimes he experiences some pleasure, sometimes pain, sometimes mixture of both, because he is touched by matter. But because you are transcendental and above all material qualities, these are not found in you, he is saying. Your superior spiritual potency is completely transcendental. That's why you don't have relative pleasure or pain, like that is describing. Now he says, Radhini potency gives Krishna transcendental pleasure. Through this pleasure potency, Krishna personally tastes spiritual pleasure, like that. He's not experiencing material pleasure that is temporary for some time and goes away sometime, like that. So then he's going towards Lord Krishna tastes all kinds of transcendental experience, happiness. So how is that coming? That's coming because of his pleasure potency, the happiness that he experiences. And these three verses are important. Let's go through that briefly. Basically, important means not much elaboration is there, but at least to understand. Remember, the discussion started with how Krishna has three energies, internal, external, and marginal. And there's a deep dive of internal energy. And he explained the three different, within the internal energy, the three aspects: Radhini aspect, pleasure potency, and then Samvita aspect, which is the Sandhini aspect, which is the existence potency, Samvita aspect, which is the knowledge potency, like that he described, right? So he's deep diving into Radhini potency now, which is part of the internal potency or Yogamaya, or like that, internal potency, or spiritual potency also is described. So now he's deep diving into Radhini potency. He says that most essential part of that pleasure potency is what? Is prema, Krishna prema. This is what we talk about. So now, and within that Krishna Prema, the most essential part is Mahabhava. And that Mahabhava, that means even essential part of Krishna Prema, Mahabhava, the ecstasy is represented by Srimati Radharani is describing here. So now 161 verse. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Among the gopis of Vrindavana, Srimati Radharani and another gopi are considered chief. So out of all the gopis, Srimati Radharani is the most important because she expresses the highest ecstasy of love, this Mahabhava. That's why Radharani is called Mahabhava Swarupini. So the ecstasy Radharani experiences is a lot higher than any other gopis. That's the point being made from this verse. Now, the last verse for today, the body of Spirit Srimati Radharani is a veritable transformation of love of God, Krishna Prema. Mahabhava Swarupin, right? Mahabhava Prema's essential part is Mahabhava. She is the dearmost friend of Krishna, and this is known throughout the world. There are no purports for these verses. Coming up, 166 verse will have purport tomorrow, no, next session. Yeah. So we'll pause there. Essentially, we heard about the glories of Krishna, how he's very, very attractive to everyone, including to himself. And then later on, we heard about how Srimati Radharani mm, is the Mahabhava Swarupini. She is the essence of the Krishna Prema also. She's manifesting in herself like that. She manifests the highest form of ecstasy. That is what we heard today. We'll keep hearing next session also. We'll hear the glories of Srimati Radharani. This is all the conversation between Ramananda Rai and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Yeah, we'll pause there. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Let's offer obeisance to all the devotees of the Lord. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kupasandubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Thank you, devotees. Hare Krishna.